I'm Cora. Welcome back to the writing channel. Before I begin, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. I also have other social medias and other websites that I'm on. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my TikTok username, my username on Instagram, and the link to my brand new blog that I made with Wix. This is not a paid promotion. Obviously, I'm not big enough to have one of those yet. I'll give you an idea of what the blog is gonna look like. And with the blog, most of everything I make a video on is going to be up there first. So anything to do with my writing, anything to do with a video idea, my train of thought, it's all going to be on there. And you can go ahead and sign up for a newsletter on there too to get the inside scoop of my writing process, my writing, and where I'm at in it. And of course, the inside scoop of what's going on in my book before it comes out. And I have no set release date for my book yet, but hopefully after editing, I will have some frame of idea of when I can publish it. All right, so moving on to the video, I wanted to make a video about what it's like to write as someone who identifies as a complete control freak. So up until recently, I didn't even really realize I was a control freak just because in certain environments I was in, my family, majority of my family, they're all control freaks. And if they try to argue with me in the comments, I have so many childhood memories to pull up. And also I work in food service, and when you're a cook in food service, you're obviously going to be a bit of a control freak, and that's not an insult, honestly, because to me, if you're a cook and you have complete and utter control in a system in your kitchen, that just gives me more confidence in you as my leader. And then I also work with kids and as a swim instructor, and as kind of like an instructor, teacher type of role, you obviously want complete control in the classroom. You have a certain way of running your classroom and your kids and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't realize how far that translated into my everyday life until I made a TikTok video the other day, and while I was writing my blog post, and I realized, oh my god, I'm a complete control freak in everything. Not just my job, but like everywhere. And honestly, I see it as more of a plus because I know like what I'm doing and what works, and I don't have to constantly find different routines and processes that work for me because I already know what does. So what helps me write as someone who likes to control is I like to manipulate, I don't like to say the word manipulate, but that's the only word I can really come up with right now. Manipulate my environment as best as I can. So, for instance, I like to control what kind of lights I have. And so, most people these days have LED strip lights, and if you don't, that's fine, don't worry about it. But I have LED strip lights in my office right now. They're off camera right now because they're up against this wall right here. But right now I have them on purple for my Project Lavender. I normally don't turn them on until the sun sets, but I just want to turn them on for this video, just like put me in a little bit of a good mood. And then, of course, what kind of beverages and snacks and media I'm consuming. And so I don't know about you guys, but I'm also a beverage goblin. I need at least 3 drinks in front of me in order to feel like I have enough. Something to hydrate, whether that be water, Gatorade, Smart Water, anything with electrolytes in it. And then something to energize, whether that be an energy drink, coffee, stuff like that. And then something for fun, whether that be juice, soda, adult juice, or anything of that sort. For me, I usually have water, my preferred coffee, and usually a soda. Sometimes I will have a 21 and up juice, but most of the time I will have Dr. Pepper or Coke in my cup. Yeah, that's just kind of the little ways. And then with snacks, it just depends because with romance, a lot of the time when I was writing my book, I would put on Jane the Virgin, and I would find myself eating things that the characters would eat in specific romantic conversations or settings, like Louisa and Rose's post-adult activity snack is mini powdered donuts. And I like that because I can just get it down at the gas station or Dollar General for pretty cheap. I can get a pretty big bag for like $3. And it has to be specifically Little Debbie mini powdered donuts. If it's Hostess, it's fine. I just prefer Little Debbie's. It makes my brain run a little smoother, I guess. And then if I want like a lunch or a small dinner, I will make myself a grilled cheese sandwich. And it's not one as elaborate as the one that Jane makes in Jane the Virgin, just mostly because I honestly don't really like cheddar that much in my grilled cheese sandwiches. I prefer mozzarella and a side of like pizza sauce soup sort of thing. My boyfriend makes really good stuff like that. That's actually part of the reason why I eat that too, is because it's comfort food. He made it for me the first time I was over at his house when we first started dating. And yeah, all sorts of stuff, background stuff. And also media. Like I said, sometimes when I'm writing, I watch Jane the Virgin. When I'm writing my romance, right now that's what I'm focusing on the most, is my romance. When I was writing my fantasy stuff, I would put on The Witcher and what else? Sometimes I'll put on Supernatural, just because sometimes Supernatural has that fantasy feel. Like, I know it's more of a paranormal thing, but sometimes I get a fantasy feel off of it. And I'll put on Magicians and stuff like that for fantasy. And then for paranormal, I will hate watch Twilight. Okay, fine, there you go. I will hate watch Twilight for my paranormal stuff. But you know what? I know what not to do with my characters. I know what I don't want my characters to sound like through Twilight. So that I'm thankful for. And plus, Twilight gave me that push to actually start writing when I was about 12. Anyway, so lights, media, drink, and snack, all of that really helps me out a lot. And honestly, sometimes it's just the time of day, because like I work 2 jobs, and so the time I can write is very weird and very specific. So I can write because I work 2 jobs. And so during my first job, I have an early lunch at like 10, 10:30, 11, depending on the day. And I will write most or if not my entire lunch break for 30 minutes. And then I'll continue on to work. And then if I have time between my first job and my second job, if I have enough time to write, I'll go ahead and type something up on my phone. And then I'll email it to myself to put on Google Docs later. And let's see what else. And then if I have time when I come home from work for my second job, and that's usually pretty late in the evening, I usually don't come home until about 8:30, 8:40, sometimes 9 if I stay late to help teach adult classes, but it's all just dependent on what's happening that day. And then on a normal day when I don't have my second job, with my new job, I'll actually be home about like 2:30, depending on how busy it is. I'll write as much as I can up until about 5, 6, and then I'll make myself dinner, clean the kitchen, take a shower, and then do my nightly routine. Normally I don't write in bed because I don't like it when my brain associates my place of rest as my place of creativity, because I want my office to be associated with that place of creativity. And I try to write in my office as much as possible. And if I do end up writing in my bed, that's fine. I just try to keep a timer on so I don't write past my bedtime. Because yes, I need to have a bedtime for me to continue living like this. Hopefully I won't have to live like this for much longer. Let's hope. But yeah, that's kind of how I write as someone who is a bit of a control freak. And I'm really curious of like how other writers out there have their process, because I know that we have all these writing processes for these really well-known authors like Neil Gaiman, Stephen King, Rick Riordan. I think Joe Hill also might have one out there, but I honestly don't know. But yeah, anyway, that's just kind of how I do it. And I wanted to make this video for people who, feel a little odd for doing this and may feel a little bit weird about it or whatever, but you're not alone in this. There's a lot of people in this world who write similarly, and I just hope this helps, and I hope this lets you guys know a little bit more about me. Go ahead and check out the links in my description, click subscribe, hope you like this video, and I'll see you next time.